There's been an accident at the intersection. A sharp cry of alarm rang in my ears. After a few seconds of blurred vision, the scene before me gradually came into focus. A large crowd surged toward the intersection. The familiar sight overlapping with the memory of my fiancé's fatal car crash years ago when he died saving his mistress. I froze in place, soon jostled by the surging crowd, stumbling a few steps before moving forward again, until I saw Drake Han collapsed on the ground. His ankle twisted at an unnatural angle, blood steadily spreading across the pavement, while his mistress, Lena Shin, merely sat there elegantly, weeping as delicately as pear blossoms in the rain, as if performing in a tragic stage play. Only then did I finally realize I had been reborn. In his previous life, Drake Han did the same thing, pushing away his beloved mistress when a car came speeding toward them. The price of playing the hero to save the beauty was a crippled leg. Yet he accepted it willingly, but Lena Shin abandoned him when he needed her the most, leaving to study abroad. The once proud Drake Han fell into the mud in an instant, never to recover from the blow. I couldn't bear to see the boy I had admired for years become so dispirited, so I took him home, cared for him diligently, and sought out renowned doctors everywhere for his treatment. 3 years later, his legs were finally healed, yet the first thing he did was to seek out his down-and-out mistress. His tone was full of caution. "Lena, I'm not crippled anymore, let me take care of you, okay?" And like the rehabilitation equipment he once used, I was left in that rental apartment I had mistaken for a home, bearing the scars of overuse and exhaustion, just like the past he had completely severed. Never did I imagine waking up to find everything reshuffled. I had returned to the very beginning where it all started. I covered my face, laughing and crying as tears streamed down my cheeks. "Drake Han, I hope this time, even if you have to drag that lame leg of yours, you and Lena Shin will have a harmonious and everlasting union." Drake Han's face twisted in pain, only letting out a few agonized *****. Unable to form a complete sentence, I quietly blended into the crowd, watching his misery with great interest, feeling a surge of satisfaction in my heart. Even Lena Shin's tearful appearance felt endearing now. "Drake Han, this is what you really wanted, isn't it? Who needs an ambulance? Love can ease the pain." In my past life, the moment I heard something had happened to Drake Han, I immediately rushed through the crowd. After pushing aside the obstructive Lena Shin, I was the first to call an ambulance for him. But just as we were waiting for help, he furrowed his brows and glared at me, struggling to force out a few words from his throat. "Don't push my Lena. No one can take advantage of my injury to bully my girl." It looked as if I were some villainous side character obstructing their love. My heart felt as if it had been slashed by a knife that had just cut through a lemon, aching sharply with sour pain. Lena Shin triumphantly lifted her chin at me, then threw herself into his arms, clinging tightly, only making his wound bleed even more. I was just about to scold him when Drake Han's overprotective expression left me speechless. Now, whenever I think about how passionately I loved Drake Han in my past life, I feel disgusted. Damn it, was I an idiot in my past life? Only someone with a brain kicked by a donkey would like a loser like Drake Han. In this second life, I'll never meddle with this crazy couple's nonsense again. At that moment, a kind-hearted passerby took out their phone to call an ambulance for him and casually remarked, "Hey girl, don't just keep crying, hurry up and call the police for your boyfriend." In his urgency, his voice unconsciously rose a little. The spoiled little princess cried even harder. Drake Han's eyes turned red with heartache as he glared at the passerby and accused, "Don't you dare scold her." The passerby's face turned pale, then flushed with anger, before finally rolling their eyes in speechless frustration and silently putting away their phone. The other bystanders also gave up on helping, since even his own girlfriend wasn't in a hurry. Why should they bother and make themselves unwelcome? Having seen enough of the show, I found it rather dull and turned to leave. In that moment of turning, my gaze met Drake Han's, catching a fleeting glimpse of disappointment in his eyes. The corner of my lips curled up as I quickened my steps to leave. I saw Drake Han again 2 days later. The counselor organized a few classmates who were close to Drake Han to visit him in the hospital, as his childhood friend who grew up with him. I was naturally among those invited, From Drake Han's roommate, I learned the aftermath of the car accident. As the crowd of onlookers grew larger, Lena Shen finally belatedly remembered to call an ambulance. Without my intervention, after all this commotion, by the time he was sent to the hospital, he had already missed the optimal treatment window. In the end, Drake Han had one lower leg amputated, completely eliminating any possibility of recovering as fully as he had in his previous life. For Drake Han, who had always been a perfectionist, this was a devastating blow, and this is just the beginning. After a long period of mental preparation, I thought I could face Drake Han with calmness, but when I saw Drake Han again, lying weak in his hospital gown, intense anger and hatred surged within me. When he was abandoned by Lena Shen back then, he looked just as pitiful. His face was pale, so thin that his features were almost unrecognizable. Lying sickly in bed, he didn't speak, didn't eat, just stared blankly out the window, as if he might vanish from this world at any moment. I sighed softly and reached to pour him a glass of water when suddenly he grabbed my wrist, his eyes filled with desperate pleading. "Ren, you're all I have left, you won't leave me, will you?" I promised. Because of that one promise, I stayed by his side through the toughest 3 years. I started working myself to the bone, scrimping and saving, to cover his exorbitant medical expenses. During the toughest times, I even slept only 4 hours a day. As someone who's a disaster in the kitchen, I painstakingly studied recipes, burned several pots, and finally managed to make delicious and nutritious healthy meals. I went from hospital to hospital, trying both traditional Chinese and Western medicine, just to cling to that tiny glimmer of hope. I even turned to divine intervention, kowtowing step by step from the foot of the mountain all the way to the temple. I prayed before the Buddha, willing to sacrifice 10 years of my own life in exchange for his recovery. The Buddha answered my prayers, leading me to a reclusive miracle doctor deep in the mountains. After persistently pleading with him for 2 months, the miracle doctor finally agreed to treat Drake Han. With the doctor's miraculous skills, within 3 months, Drake Han could move freely again, with almost no trace left of his previous injuries. At the same time, the game program written by Drake Han happened to catch the trend of the times, and its copyright was successfully sold for a sky-high price. I thought we had finally overcome all hardships. Little did I know, the very next day, Drake Han, who had just become my fiancé, completely disappeared. Just as I was about to report him missing in my panic, Big Data pushed me a trending video. My beloved fiancé gave his childhood mistress a grand, widely known marriage proposal in the city's central square. He knelt on one knee, his gaze filled with a tenderness I had never seen before, his hands trembling with nervousness and excitement as he slipped the ring onto Lena Shen's finger. As the New Year's bell rang, brilliant fireworks burst across the sky, and they shared a blissful kiss amid countless cheers and blessings. A perfect match, talent and beauty, like a pair of flawless jade. I let out a bitter laugh, pulling off the soda can ring Drake Han made for me, my heart aching so much I could barely breathe, because there was no love, there was only stinginess. I was merely a stepping stone for him to reach his true love, the bridge he burned after crossing the river. Sweet words were just that, words, not worth the effort. Coming back to my senses, I glanced at Drake Han's blood transfusion tube, his empty pant leg, and Lena Shen, engrossed in her phone beside him, averted her gaze, silently following behind the counselor and classmates while uttering a few perfunctory official remarks. After the small talk, the counselor called Lena Shen outside. Just like in her previous life, it was to inform her of the happy news that her study abroad application had been successful, without any suspense. Lena Shen would make the same choice again. I smiled with joy. "Ren." Just as I was about to leave with the group, Drake Han suddenly called out to me. His expression was sorrowful, and his weak voice drifted over. "Ren, why have you become so cold? The Ren Xie I know isn't like this. She wouldn't ignore me if I got into a car accident, nor would she visit me so late. Oh, so he does remember how good I used to be to him. But how did he treat me in return?" I sneered inwardly but kept a straight face, throwing his own words back at him. "You said it yourself, you only see me as a friend and told me not to meddle in your affairs out of wishful thinking." My words left him speechless. After a long silence, His lips parted as if he wanted to say something. But Lena Shun returned just then. The guilt on her face instantly turned into venomous resentment when she saw me alone with Drake Han. Ren Xia, how shameless can you be? Daring to seduce him behind my back. Drake only has me in his heart, some people should save themselves the humiliation. Lena Shun cursed at me while reaching out to hit me. Drake Han watched silently, offering no defense for me, even though he knew Lena Shun was being unreasonable. I took a step back with a cold laugh, dodging the slap she swung at me. I looked at her leisurely, raising an eyebrow. Don't worry, I don't have a habit of picking through trash, such low-quality goods. You can keep them for yourself. With that, I ignored Drake Han's hurt expression and turned to leave without looking back. Perhaps because Drake Han had his limb amputated, Lena Shun left even earlier than in the previous lifetime, out of guilt. She didn't tell Drake Han about her plans to go abroad and quietly left alone. She said her goodbyes to everyone else in private, even sending me a provocative text message. Ren Xia, believe it or not, even if I'm gone, you still can't win against me. I laughed. She really hadn't changed a bit. The night Drake Han proposed to her, she also posted a moment visible only to me. A picture of their intertwined fingers was captioned with a brief line, I just need to stand there, and he will love me. The old me might have felt wronged and heartbroken seeing this. But now Drake Han means nothing to me. The boy who promised to protect me forever had long rotted away bit by bit in those youthful years. I replied, I'm kinda shipping you two now. Hope you stay together forever. Without waiting for Lena Shun's response, I immediately blocked all contact with her and Drake Han. This lifetime, I'm going to live for myself. Putting down my phone, I buried myself in studying, starting to fight for the upcoming final exams. It wasn't until the next professional course roll call that I realized Drake Han hadn't been attending class for a long time. His roommate said Drake Han now resembles a walking corpse, barely surviving each day by drowning himself in alcohol. I didn't pay it much mind, my thoughts preoccupied with how many vocabulary words I still needed to memorize and which unsolved course problems I should ask the teacher about after class. Time flew by, and before I knew it, the final exams had arrived. I walked out of the exam hall and bumped into Drake Han, who was there to complete his leave of absence procedures. He had lost a lot of weight, his cheekbones slightly protruding. Struggling to maneuver his wheelchair, a far cry from his once confident and spirited demeanor, I pretended not to see him and brushed past him, yet he suddenly grabbed my wrist, his voice trembling as he spoke. Ren, are you going to abandon me too? I somewhat exasperatedly shook off his hand. Don't make it sound like there's something between us. Stay away from me, I have no interest in being the rebound guy. Watching his hands clench the wheelchair, I smirked maliciously. Besides, transportation is so advanced nowadays, studying abroad doesn't mean you'll never see each other again. She only abandoned you once, it's not that big of a deal. You love her so much, just forgive her this one time. Can't you, a grown man, be a little less petty? He lowered his head, lost in thought. A faint, amused smile curled at my lips. Judging by the timeline from my past life, Lena Shun should already have a new boyfriend in Paris by now. I can't wait to see Drake Han's reaction when he finds out. That very night, Drake Han booked the earliest flight and flew to Paris overnight. Our mutual friend, Brother Liu, worried about his safety and, after failing to dissuade him, had no choice but to accompany him on the trip. While waiting at the airport, he sent me numerous messages. Ren, Drake Han has truly lost his mind. For a woman so heartless and ungrateful, he's doing all these crazy things. As a brother, I'm truly frustrated that he won't live up to his potential. Ren, I can't persuade him anymore. He used to listen to you the most. Could you try talking to him? With an expressionless face, I searched through the photo album and sent over a screenshot of Drake Han's social media post that Lena Shun had previously made a point of showing me. In the picture, Drake Han wore a doting smile as he knelt on one knee to slip socks onto Lena Shun's feet. The sickeningly sweet domineering CEO declaration was practically blinding everyone. Ladies on my friends list, don't talk to me, I only listen to my darling. He didn't even reply to the female teacher's WeChat messages urging him to submit his competition questions. When she came across this post, The teacher slowly typed a question mark in the comments. There was an obvious pause on the other end. Typing hung at the top for a full 2 minutes before a stiff about to board, talk later, abruptly ended the awkward conversation. It carried more than a hint of fleeing in panic. They arrived on a weekend when Lena Shun wasn't at school, and Drake Han's number had already been blocked by Lena Shun on the day he left. Drake Han, in a fit of helpless rage, slipped away from brother Liu unnoticed and stubbornly wheeled his chair back and forth around the apartments near the school. Perhaps it was fate, but he actually found Lena Shun on a stone bridge. Yet the scene before him stabbed at his eyes with unbearable pain. Lena Shun is the only child in her family, having been pampered and doted on by her parents since childhood. The Shun family holds power and wealth, always cleaning up her messes no matter what mistakes she makes, at every stage of her life. There have been opportunists fawning over her and currying favor. She is also strikingly beautiful, having been admired by boys since elementary school. She naturally developed an arrogant and willful temperament. After getting together with Drake Han, she was even more spoiled to the heavens, whether it was making him queue for 2 hours in winter to buy her favorite breakfast or giving up important competitions to accompany her. Drake Han never complained. Even when doing these things, he always wore a blissful and sweet smile on his face. After being together for so long, this was the first time he had seen such tender affection on Lena Shun's face. Lena Shun clung to the arm of a tall, handsome mixed-race man, nestling against him intimately like a delicate bird. The man whispered something in her ear, making her giggle uncontrollably. Then, she shyly stood on her tiptoes and planted a kiss on the man's handsome cheek. Drake Han's eyes burned with fury, his expression terrifyingly grim. Overwhelmed by rage, he turned his wheelchair and charged forward. He wanted to lunge at the man who had cuckolded him and fight to the death, but due to his limited mobility, he instead stumbled and rolled off his wheelchair. The scene was both humiliating and absurd. The sharp stones cut his palms, yet he seemed to feel no pain, his gaze fixed solely on Lena Shun as he demanded an explanation. Lena Shun curled her lip in disdain. Look at yourself, how could you ever be worthy of me? I only got with you in the first place because you were good-looking. It was just for fun. Now that you're disabled, don't expect me to take care of you for the rest of your life. I'm not your ever-dutiful childhood sweetheart. Drake Han's eyes turned red with rage. You bitch, I ended up like this because of you. Lena Shun intertwined her fingers with her new boyfriend's and said indifferently, I never asked you to save me. You were the one who insisted on throwing yourself into it. Drake Han was furious, swinging his fists at them in a rage. Only to be kicked into the river by Lena Shun's new boyfriend. Drake Han couldn't swim, and by the time Brother Liu arrived, he had already fallen unconscious. Brother Liu called to tell me, saying Drake Han was running a high fever and kept murmuring my name in his delirium. Ren, he's really suffered this time. Finally seeing that woman for who she is and realizing his mistake. Do you too still have a chance? He used to be really good to me. He would beat up those who bullied me for me, saved up 2 months' worth of breakfast money to buy me a teddy bear, and even promised to protect me forever under the shooting stars. The affection in his eyes couldn't have been fake. Although I wasn't as expressive as he was, I responded to everything he did. He fought for me, so I tended his wounds and helped him with his studies. He gave me a teddy bear plushie, so I stayed up several nights to make him a handmade bracelet in return. He promised to protect me forever, so I gave him my whole heart, praying for the boy I loved to have a lifetime of peace and happiness. Everyone assumed we were a couple, because except for a formal confession, our devotion and feelings for each other were almost no different from those of real lovers. I'd like to believe that the young him was sincere with me, but it wasn't until I met Lena Shun that I realized sincerity can change in an instant. I interrupted Brother Liu's incessant chatter. I remember you have a younger sister. Would you be willing to introduce the current Drake Han to her? Brother Liu almost instinctively thought of the messy affairs involving Drake Han and Lena Shun, his brows involuntarily furrowing as he immediately fell silent. See, even a good-natured person like Brother Liu knows that Drake Han is no longer a suitable match now. After a long silence, it all turned into a sigh. I'm sorry, Ren. I was too focused on wanting us to go back to how things were before. without considering your feelings. After that day, Brother Liu stopped taking the initiative to report Drake Han's situation to me. I was able to enjoy a period of temporary peace. My feelings toward Drake Han gradually shifted from the initial teeth-gritting resentment to a state of calm. It's not worth wasting my emotions on someone like him. I can't even spare him my hatred now, the closer I get to graduation. The busier I become, spinning like a top. In my past life, taking care of Drake had made me miss several exams while constantly running around, and I even fainted from exhaustion on the day of the postgraduate entrance exam. Now that heaven has given me a second chance, I'll cherish it all the more, not wanting to waste a single moment on irrelevant people. Free from these external distractions, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to self-improvement. Diligently delving into academics and actively participating in competitions to win awards. In my senior year, I successfully secured a recommendation for postgraduate studies. At the same time, during the autumn recruitment process, I received offers from several well-known companies thanks to my outstanding resume. My top choice company, upon learning that I had secured a postgraduate recommendation, was still willing to reserve a job position for me after my graduate studies. To make the internship more convenient, I moved out of the dormitory. Yet, at the entrance of the rented apartment, I ran into the person I least wanted to see in my life. The cold rain drizzled, the chilly wind blew, and the sound of rolling tires echoed on the wet ground. Drake Han didn't have an umbrella, wearing only a thin white shirt, curled up in a wheelchair. The fine rain pattered against his body. His hair and clothes clinging damply to his skin, making him look just like a stray puppy. Only this time, I won't be taking him home again. I used to love seeing him in a white shirt, the youthful, carefree boy in white who made my heart skip countless seasons. Now, all I want to say is, you scheming man, trying the self-inflicted hardship trick. I clicked my tongue in disdain. Pitying men brings a lifetime of bad luck. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up slightly. He straightened his back a little and wheeled his chair slowly toward me. He looked somewhat awkward, hesitating as if wanting to say something but holding back, until he finally managed to blurt out, "Ren, have you been doing well?" I lost my patience and turned to go upstairs. Seeing me about to leave, he panicked completely and reached out to hug me. Disgusted beyond measure, I sidestepped like a snake and darted 10 meters away. As if he were some repulsive vermin, his hand froze in mid-air. Pain and confusion flashing in his eyes. "Ren, are you still mad at me?" He lowered his head, clutching his hair in agony, sobbing quietly. I'm sorry, I was wrong, I'm such a scoundrel, I betrayed your sincere love for me." Overcome with emotion, he began slapping himself hard across the face again. "The one I've always loved is you. I was just bewitched by her. If she hadn't appeared, we would have been so happy together. Ren, give me another chance, please, I swear. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." This scene reminds me of a line I once read in a book. Men love to swear oaths the most, and their vows are no different from a dog's bark. The perfect overlap between the book's scenario and reality made me snort with derision. I stared at him coldly, driving each word like a dagger into his heart. "Oh, you want to compensate me with your crippled life? Is that compensation or revenge? If that's the case, you'd better find someone else to compensate. I have no interest in being a free babysitter." He looked incredulous. "You're disgusted by me." I yawned and said sarcastically, "How dare I be disgusted by you? Drake Han, this is your warrior's medal for charging into battle for love. You should cherish it dearly." With that, I quickly walked toward the elevator. Just as I was about to press the button, Drake Han's murmuring voice came from behind me. "In your previous life, you didn't care about these things at all." My footsteps hesitated, but only for a second. While closing the balcony window, I glanced down at the ground below. Drake Han was still standing there in a daze when he suddenly looked up at me upon hearing the noise from the balcony and shouted, "My legs will definitely be healed, even if you despise me. I still love you. Ren, wait for me to come back. I'll prove to you how much I love you." The light sleeping aunt next door was awakened and angrily cursed. "Can't you let people sleep? What kind of nonsense are you spouting in the middle of the night? You men never speak a word of truth." I silently gave the auntie a thumbs up in my heart. Drake Han resentfully shut his mouth and left with a sorrowful expression, leaving behind only a lonely and stubborn figure. Later, he loitered around downstairs at my place for a few more days, after being rejected several times. He seemed to have fallen into a paranoid cycle. He believed that as long as his leg was healed, we could reconcile as before. After leaving me a cringeworthy love letter, he left City B and frantically searched for a cure for his leg. But even though he left, he never stopped his self-righteous concern. He somehow obtained my contact information from someone, changed to a new number, and continued to harass me. I simply changed my number directly, keeping only a few regular contacts. My world became much quieter, but I still occasionally hear news about him. Some classmates said they saw him at a hospital in City A, while friends claimed to have spotted him at a traditional Chinese medicine hospital in City C. He was indeed reborn. These were all places I had rushed around for him in my previous life, where the treatments had shown some effect. He was merely following the same pattern, retracing the path I had already tried for him, for a long time afterward. Even Brother Liu couldn't reach him. Drake Han seemed to have completely cut off contact with the outside world. I suppose that after all hope was lost, he must have gone to the mountains to seek out that reclusive miracle doctor, just as I did back then. Old Liu had a peculiar temper and made many outrageous demands, trying to discourage me. But for Drake Han, I gritted my teeth and endured it all. In the end, he looked helplessly at me, my eyes brimming with hope, and nodded in agreement to make an exception for me. As old Liu prepared the treatment plan, he stroked his beard and said to me cryptically, "Once the fish is caught, the trap is forgotten. Once the river is crossed, the bridge is dismantled. Girl, remember to keep your wits about you and don't be too foolish." At the time, I was too caught up in the joy of Drake Han's legs showing promise to delve deeper into the meaning behind those words. Looking back now, as an outsider, he saw things more clearly than I did. I just wonder if this time, Drake Han's shallow sincerity will be enough to move old Liu. No matter the outcome, I no longer care. A new chapter of life awaits, with more opportunities and challenges ahead. During my graduate studies, I met many like-minded friends and encountered knowledgeable, rigorous mentors. Every day was busy yet fulfilling. That day, as usual, I returned from studying at the library, and as soon as I entered the door, I heard my roommate's exclamation, "Holy crap, Renxia, come here quick. The CEO of Hanxia Group is publicly confessing his love to you." Before I could react, my roommate's phone screen was already shoved in front of my face. Hanxia Group is a rising star in the gaming industry that recently made a splash with a wildly popular competitive game. Drake Han, as the CEO and the largest shareholder of the company, was being interviewed by the media, with the experience from his past life. This time he didn't sell the copyright directly but instead established his own gaming company. In the video, dressed in a sharp suit, he exuded a mature and casual charm, smiling as he chatted effortlessly with the reporters. I noticed that Drake Han's movements as he walked onto the stage were somewhat slow, and my gaze instinctively shifted to his legs, only then realizing he was wearing a prosthetic limb. Sharp-eyed netizens clearly noticed it too, flooding the comments section with expressions of sympathy, exclaiming that the novel trope of a disabled CEO had become reality. Young and accomplished, physically challenged but strong-willed, with good looks to boot, the reporter inevitably steered the conversation toward gossip. Drake Han chuckled lightly, neither confirming nor denying, hinting between the lines that he had a sweetheart, a childhood friend and fiancée. Several mentions were made about the naming of his current company, and the reporter keenly seized the key point. Pressing the advantage, the reporter asked him, "May I ask President Han, what is the origin of the name Hanxia Group for your company?" Drake Han smiled ******. Han and Xia are taken from my surname and hers. He paused for a moment, then looked up at the camera with a smile. "Moreover, I plan to give her half of my shares as a betrothal gift." The room erupted in an uproar. The reporters froze for a second, then immediately took the hint and offered their congratulations. Drake Han acknowledged each one with a nod, then rubbed his forehead and said somewhat helplessly, "But we've had a bit of a disagreement recently. so she might not want to see me right now. The comment section erupted like a stone thrown into a calm lake. Who the hell is this? Living the good life. Damn, with a boyfriend like this, I'd slap myself during arguments. Disabled tycoon ex spoiled childhood sweetheart. Oh my god. Fiction becoming reality. Lemons on the lemon tree, you and me beneath it. Am I the only one who thinks this childhood sweetheart is a bit too extra? Soon, netizens dug up my information, and kind-hearted users began helping Drake handchase his wife across all platforms. In just this short time, some fans even started writing fanfiction about us. The more I read, the deeper my frown became. It felt like being force-fed something disgusting. I have to say, Drake Han, you really have a knack for making people sick. Just thinking about it gives me nightmares. I was so startled that I immediately handed the phone back to my roommate and started gathering all the love stories of Drake Han and Lena Shin over the years. Fortunately, I had saved all their lovey-dovey videos and photos before deleting them, just in case I suddenly got morally blackmailed one day. I spent the whole night organizing the timeline of their relationship from the beginning, even embellishing their tragic yet beautiful love story a bit, and compiled a 100-plus page PowerPoint presentation, detailed enough to be played at their wedding. Damn, I've become their shipper. The next day, before I could post my clarification, the world outside had already changed. First, I was tricked by my senior lab mates under the same advisor into going to the square across from campus under the pretense of work. Just as I sensed something was wrong and wanted to run, colorful fireworks formed my name, exploding across the city sky. The fireworks exploded, and so did I, watching the massive bursts of fireworks flaunt their presence in the sky in the order of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. I wished I could dig a tunnel right there to escape. Drake had knelt on one knee with deep affection, his prosthetic leg faintly gleaming with a metallic sheen. Several sentimental onlookers were moved to tears, covering their mouths, as chants of "marry him" rose and fell around them. Drake Han himself appeared deeply moved, holding a bouquet of 999 roses in one hand and a diamond ring in the other. All right, you really had to hit me with something this big right off the bat, huh? I was dazzled by Drake Han's flashy and flamboyant performance. For two people in love, this is the other's clumsy yet passionate affection. But all I felt was disgust. I had already witnessed such a grand proposal once in my past life. It was in the video of Drake Han proposing to Lena Shin. He didn't even bother to change the process. I closed my eyes, not even having the courage to glance at him, listening to the same lines he once used to propose to Lena Shin in my past life. I felt my toes could dig out a dreamy Barbie castle. Just as I was pondering how to escape this place, Lena Shin saved me from the awkwardness. She rushed out from the crowd, her eyes red, and threw herself into Drake Han's arms. Once the proud daughter of heaven, she was forced to shoulder massive debts after her father's imprisonment. No longer the haughty figure she once was, Lena Shin, pitiful and vulnerable, poured out her love to Drake Han. Drake, none of those words were true. I never got another boyfriend. That day, I deliberately staged it all for you to see. With everything that happened to my family, I just didn't want you to suffer with me. Woo woo. How could you betray me and fall for Ren Xia? Right now, Drake Han had no mood to listen to her nonsense. He had just been knocked off balance by her sudden lunge, and his prosthetic limb was sent flying, rolling straight toward the crowd, proud as he was. That prosthetic was his last shred of dignity and composure. All the carefully constructed control he had painstakingly maintained crumbled apart in that instant. He pushed Lena Shin aside and dragged his body, anxiously groping for his prosthetic limb under the feet of the crowd. Lena Shin's words exploded like thunder among the crowd, causing chaos on the scene. Someone kicked it, and the prosthetic limb rolled to my feet, under Drake Han's eager gaze. I leisurely slipped my hands into my pockets and turned to leave without hesitation. There were many people filming videos in the square, and combined with the previous high level of attention, this incident quickly became a trending topic. Among the thousands of comments, most were mocking Drake Han and Lena Shin for their outrageous behavior, with a few occasionally criticizing me for being too cold toward Drake Han, who is disabled. One particular comment stood out among all these remarks. Holy shit, I was in the class next to theirs in college. They were already crazy back then. How did they manage to go viral with their antics now? The onlookers quickly went to inquire about the inside story. The original poster didn't hold back and directly shared a lengthy comment from a third-person perspective. Each of these incidents, taken individually, is quite shocking. Among them, the most astonishing are these three events. First blood, when Drake Han was breaking up with Lena Shun. He ran around the girls' dormitory where she lived in the rain, shouting, "Lena Shun, do you know whose love you're rejecting? It's the love of a god." Double kill. During a blood test, Drake Han kissed Lena Shun's needle mark to ease her pain. Triple kill. In the restaurant, Drake Han licked each of Lena Shun's fingers one by one in front of the waiter after they were accidentally touched by the server. The onlookers were completely stunned after witnessing this. Someone curiously asked me, "Then what does Ren Xia count as between them, the third wheel?" The OP instantly replied, "No, the ultimate unlucky one. A buddy of mine knows Drake Han. Back when they first started college, Drake Han was actually planning to confess to Ren Xia, but on his way to confess, he fell head over heels for Lena Shun at first sight. He said it was the first time he felt his soul tremble, so he abandoned the confession and turned around to pursue Lena Shun instead." Netizens instantly felt sympathy for me. And even those who had previously criticized me for being cold-hearted came forward to apologize. Drake Han's freshly established devoted lover persona crumbled to pieces overnight. Seizing the peak of the hype, I released the timeline and PPT I had compiled, accompanied by the caption, "Childhood sweethearts can't compare to a destined encounter. You all shipped the wrong pair. Drake Han Lena Shun crazy couple. Ren Xia the big scapegoat." These two topics instantly surged to the top 2 trending spots. Hanxia Group's stocks plummeted, leaving Drake Han swamped with work. Meanwhile, Lena Shun kept pestering him relentlessly, a classic case of chasing love into a crematorium. She now has nothing left and can only cling desperately to Drake Han as her lifeline. But she doesn't realize that the more she behaves this way, the more Drake Han detests her. The Shun family's bankruptcy timeline occurred a year earlier than in the previous lifetime. Out of curiosity, I looked into it and discovered that Drake Han had actually played a role in accelerating it. It was probably revenge for Lena Shun cheating on him. No wonder Lena Shun spoke so emotionally. Yet he remained unmoved. Turns out he was the one driving it all along. After learning about this, I couldn't help but feel deeply sighing. His sincerity toward Lena Shun was nothing more than this. I stopped deliberately following their back-and-forth drama, but netizens kept tagging me daily to witness the spectacle. In that case, I'll just take a quick look then. Until one day, Lena Shun stopped me with a triumphant look, like a victorious rooster. She provocatively raised her head and waved the pregnancy test report in her hand. "Ren Xia, you lost again. I'm pregnant." I showed no expression and responded, "Oh, congratulations," annoyed by my indifferent attitude. She began vividly describing the intimate details of her encounter with Drake Han. The explicitness and graphic nature of her account made me feel as if I were in some love hotel's bedroom. All this was happening right there on the bustling street, with people coming and going and cars constantly passing by. I silently covered my face. Standing next to her was truly embarrassing. If I have sinned, let the law punish me, not force me to listen to erotic fiction on the street. How is this any different from taking a dump in the middle of the road? Before she could utter even more shocking words, I quickly interrupted her spellcasting. Lena Shun thought she had provoked me, her smile growing even more smug. "Ren Xia, he will definitely marry me. You must come to our wedding when the time comes." But the next second, Lena Shun's smile froze on her face. A clear slap mark appeared on her cheek. She looked incredulously at Drake Han, who had rushed over. "You hit me. You bitch, how dare you scheme against me? You used to act so high and mighty, but now that you're down and out, you resort to drugging me and climbing into my bed." Lena Shun touched her stomach, on the verge of tears. "How could you say that to me? It's because I love you. I know you're just saying it out of anger. And I already regret it. Plus, I'm carrying your child now. Can't we just forget the past unhappiness and live a good life together?" Drake Han's face was full of disgust. Who knows if the child in your belly is even mine? Drake Han, you're going too far. Fine, you're forcing me to do this. I'm going to your company right now to let all your employees know what an irresponsible scumbag you are. With that, Lena Shen, crying, pulled open the door of a taxi by the roadside. Drake Han hurriedly chased after her, but not without throwing a disgusting remark my way before leaving. Be good, I'll come find you after I deal with this, seriously. Are you out of your mind? I stood there utterly speechless, my face a picture of bewilderment as the wind tousled my hair. Following the last fireworks confession video, netizens quickly updated their material. Their new round of antics soon appeared in the remakes of various drama bloggers. Someone even captured my speechless expression and turned it into a meme GIF with the caption, "Stop the madness." Looking at the memes netizens were playing with, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Many lovely netizens came to encourage me, telling me never to forgive that disgusting man. I followed their good advice, stayed away from the crazy couple, and enjoyed a happy life. At that very moment, there was a rural research project at school, and I decisively applied for it, unexpectedly. The place we went to for the rural research was right next to the mountain where the renowned Dr. Elder Liu had lived in seclusion in my past life. Today's research tasks completed, the mentor and classmates gradually returned to their arranged dormitories to rest. With nothing else to do, I wandered over to the bamboo grove where old Liu often strolled, just to see. As I approached the bamboo grove, I spotted old Liu's energetic figure practicing Tai Chi with his back to me. Seeing my old friend safe and sound, I felt relieved. I was about to leave quietly when I accidentally stepped on a dry branch. Hearing the sound, Elder Liu immediately turned his head, seeing it was me. A hint of surprise and delight flashed in his deep eyes. I tentatively called out, "Elder Liu." Elder Liu snorted with feigned arrogance and greeted me with deliberate solemnity. "Little girl, long time no see." I smiled. Not delving into why he also retained memories from our past lives, it was enough that we were both safe and well. I jogged over, just like before, carrying his wine flask for him as I followed behind him toward the bamboo house on the mountain. A flask of wine and a plate of peanuts were enough for two friends, despite the age difference, to chat back and forth for hours. Only after testing the waters about my current attitude toward Drake Han did Elder Shen tell me about Drake Han coming up the mountain to seek his medical help. The little old man proudly told me how he made Drake Han dig wild vegetables from an entire mountainside and carry manure for 2 months. In the end, he drove him down the mountain and told him to seek better opportunities elsewhere. Drake Han had no choice. After fitting his prosthetic limb, he struggled through over a year of rehabilitation before barely managing to walk slowly again. I couldn't help but laugh at old Liu's vividly descriptive storytelling. Old Shen scrutinized me carefully and asked once more, "Girl, are you really over him now?" I said playfully, "Of course, if you happen to know any quality men. You must introduce them to me first." Old Shen's eyes lit up, and he immediately started flipping through his phone book, pointing to a long list of numbers. He introduced them to me one by one. "This is my eldest disciple's nephew, 5 years older than you. The chief neurosurgeon at City A's First People's Hospital, as handsome as Panan, steady in character, thoughtful and considerate, and this is my second disciple's son, who just returned from studying in Germany this year." He grew more and more excited as he spoke, finally shoving the phone book into my arms. "Never mind, I think they're all quite good. Why don't you add them all and get to know them one by one? I refuse to believe you can't find one that satisfies you." Holding the phone book, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You're such a door, old man." The old man lifted his chin proudly. "Of course, back in the day, I was the first among my buddies to win a wife. The mountain area had poor signal, leaving our research team practically offline during the survey. By the time we finished our research, Lena Shen and Drake Han's passionate romance had already reached a life-or-death intensity. Lena Shen forced Drake Han to take responsibility by threatening to jump off the school rooftop. The two stood in a deadlock on the rooftop for over an hour, endlessly dredging up past grievances. The principal let out a sharp scream, and the security guard on duty today was drenched in sweat. In the end, to protect the company's reputation, Drake Han resorted to a delaying tactic, promising to marry Lena Shun after she gave birth, finally bringing the fast to a close. My roommate was dancing around excitedly, putting on a live show right in front of me. You have no idea how hilarious these two are. They were bargaining back and forth like vendors at a vegetable market. Lena Shun told President Han to marry her right away, but he said no. He insisted on waiting until after the baby was born and a paternity test was done. Lena Shun said that was too long and demanded a maximum wait of 6 months. Lena Shun is blissful again, posting daily on her platform about how much Drake Han loves her, and she tags me in every single video. Of course, she didn't forget to mention the baby in her belly, flaunting her pregnancy bump 3 times a day in creative ways. Until one day, she stopped updating. An insider revealed that she was involved in a car accident and suffered a miscarriage. The one who hit her was a middle-aged man she didn't know at all. It seemed like just an accident caused by drunk driving. But Lena Shun didn't believe it. She was just like Kyun, who had lost her child, running around the streets randomly recognizing children. This time, Drake Han surprisingly stayed by her side for a while. Passers-by accidentally captured photos of them shopping together, which actually had a touch of warmth. Just as everyone thought they were settling into a stable life, shocking news suddenly broke. Lena Shun stabbed Drake Han multiple times in a highly publicized incident. The report mentioned Lena Shun's motive. She had accidentally discovered the driver's phone number in Drake Han's phone, grew suspicious, and eventually uncovered that the car accident had been orchestrated by Drake Han. She also incidentally found evidence that her father's imprisonment was due to Drake Han providing incriminating evidence to her father's business rival. Lena Shun's mental state was already unstable, and during the argument, she directly grabbed a fruit knife from the table. Although not fatal, Drake Han suffered severe kidney damage and will have to live with a urinary bag for the rest of his life. During the police investigation, doctors diagnosed Lena Shun with mental health issues, and she had to be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, Drake Han was sentenced to 7 years in prison for hiring someone to commit assault. On the day he was imprisoned, I happened to graduate with my master's degree. He asked someone to relay to me that he wanted to see me again. I politely declined. What a joke. See him. Elder Liu has arranged over a dozen blind dates with high-quality young men for me. I can't even finish meeting them all. How could I possibly spare time for him?